Ladies and gentlemen, hello, and welcome to a very special episode of Sherm in the Booth. My name is Sherm. You guys are some true Chicagoans for coming out in January. It's snowing outside, it's freezing, and you're at the fucking club at 1 a.m.
Boys with the bass, yeah, boys, bass.
Who am I talking to right now? You're famous.
Free food, free drinks, music, girls. Let's go.
Do you like it? Cool. If you don't, goodbye.
I'm missing the most important part.
Boys with the bass, yeah.
We should throw like a crazy bar mitzvah party.
This is crazy. Send me stems. I finished it.
What's up, guys? How's everyone doing?
Just wait, you know it kicks in like 3 to 5 seconds afterward.
Yo, what's good, everyone, and welcome back to another brand new episode of Sherm in the Booth. I'm, of course, your host, Sherm, and today we've got an amazing episode for you. Episode 222 features the incredibly talented DJ producer, Ares Carter. This NYC native has built quite the name for himself since entering the music industry almost 10 years ago, and we had such a great conversation. We got it all in, from his early days as a tour DJ for ILOVEMAKONNEN, to having a song in FIFA 22, to touring the world and playing festivals like Ultra and Electric Zoo. Ares has quite the story so far. So glad we got to connect in person at ADE a few weeks ago. He's such a good guy and deserves everything coming his way. My man, thanks for coming on, and without further ado, let's get into it right now so you can hear his story for yourselves. This is episode 222 with Ares Carter. Ladies and gentlemen, hello, and welcome to Sherm in the Booth. We are back, first remote interview back in quite some time, and it is my pleasure to welcome my new friend, Ares Carter, onto the show. Welcome, my man. How are you?
I'm great, man. Thanks so much for having me.
Absolutely, brother. I am such a big fan, and we just
Thank
said
you.
before we went live, we got to meet in Amsterdam at ADE, the
Yes.
penultimate, dance music gathering and networking event in the world. How do you explain it to people? I don't know if your mom or dad is into dance music, when they're like, what are you going to? And I'm like, I don't know how to explain this.
Yeah, I would say for people that are sort of familiar with the scene, I'd say it's basically like Miami Music Week for Europe.
Yep.
That's kind of a bit more business heavy, less on the party side, which I
Yeah.
appreciate. It's always a bit more productive than Miami.
Oh, really productive. That's why.
Yeah, it's extremely productive. I always get to accomplish a lot. Last year when I went, my goal was to find new management, and I did that. And
Fuck yeah.
So you always just meet tons of people, and it's like one of the few times of the year
Yeah.
when, if you're like networking, you can be sort of, you don't want, obviously we just talked about, you don't want to be forceful, but you can be like, it's okay. It's like okay to go up to someone like, hey, I make music. I'd love for you to check it out. And then people are open to it. People are there to look for new music. They're there to find new artists. So it's like,
Yep.
it makes sense as an artist or as a label, as anyone in the industry, to go there and
Mhm.
get their name out and make connections. And people are always open to receiving that. That's why labels go. Even the biggest labels in the world are there to get to hear new music. So it's a perfect time to get your stuff out. As opposed to meeting someone at a random party any time of the year, and they're
Or you can't
don't
hear
really want to
them.
deal with when you can't hear them. They just want to party. They don't want to hear about your new demo. But
And everybody's
ADE
trying to
is one
get
of
backstage and shit.
exactly, yeah.
Oh my God. That's actually that's a great description of it. It certainly is
Yeah.
like Miami Music Week in the sense where there's not ultra, but there's a lot of big parties and, huge crowds going on. I guess there is the AMF festival, but
Yeah.
different than ultra. But I love
Yeah.
Amsterdam Dance Event. It is I went last year for the first time, and I always wanted to go. And I consider it to be the most valuable and beneficial networking and growth tool that you can do, no matter what side of the business you're on. If you're an artist, you can go and meet other artists. You can go look for a manager. If you're an agent, you can go meet a future talent on your roster. If you're a label, you can go connect with other artists or meet people in licensing and publishing. And if you just want to learn, then you go to ADE and you get to hear Armin van Buuren talk about 20 years of Armada and what he did to grow. And you get the opportunity to ask questions. And that's why I'm really proud of the panel that we hosted, because I proposed that idea to them, and I was like,
Yeah.
look, last year you guys were talking a lot about how to make it in America, how to get booked in the US, what's going on with the tech house scene there. Like, let me host a panel with artists and also label owners and also management from people in the US and give them the perspective, or give anyone the perspective, because I know who's in the audience. It's those people we just mentioned. And to see a room full of people, you can vouch for me. The room was filled.
Oh yeah, it was packed.
Yeah,
and I was packed, like, and you, I was kind of funny. It was like at the end, after the panel ended.
Yeah,
so many guys came up and they were so excited to meet you and Susan and Nick.
Yeah, they
and
were.
They wanted to talk to you guys. And like the next panel was about to start, and I think it was like some like law.
We got kicked out.
Like, yeah, these like lawyer guys in suits, and they're like, what's going on here? Well, that's good. That's good. People were excited about it, you know?
Yeah.
Bunch of but it's all these like European lawyers and all these American tech house bros like taking over the room.
That's ADE for you, bro.
Yeah.
That's so true, man. Oh man, it was such a blast, bro. But it's amazing to have you on. I've obviously known about you for quite some time. So I'm humbled that you had discovered me through Sherman the Booth over the past couple of years. I know you're a New York City boy, and my dad was actually from Queens, so I love New York City, Bayside, Queens. My aunt and uncle have lived on the Upper West Side for 40 years. I'm very proud about that. They're the New Yorkers that will never move. Are you that type of New Yorker?
Yep, exactly. I went to college here. I was born and raised here. I went to college here at NYU, and I during COVID, when New York was like shut down, I did a year in Miami to play more shows. But as soon as New York opened, I was there for 1 year.
Yeah,
it was a good time. As soon as New York opened back up, I was back here.
Amazing. Where do you live in New York City?
I'm in the Hudson Yards area, which is the west side.
Yeah.
But I grew up on the Upper East Side.
Amazing, man. Yeah. That's awesome, dude. New York is so cool. Obviously a vibrant scene, but there's a lot going on there, and it's obviously very saturated with talent in the music industry. And I did my research on you, bro. You've really hustled your way to the top, and you've got a great story. But before we get into some of the accolades, do you remember when you sort of first started getting into music, and maybe when dance music came into your life?
Yeah, I was about 15, and like sophomore year of high school. I had been like aware of it because that was, I'd say, 2012, and it was starting to come up a bit.
That's the boom.
Yeah, that was the boom, and I happened to be in Miami with my dad during Miami Music Week while it was happening, just on like spring break vacation with my dad. And Ultra was happening. My friends were telling me about it. I was like, oh, you gotta go.
Yep.
Check it out. If you're in Miami, all these artists are playing. And the only artists I knew at the time were Avicii and Skrillex, who were like the two headliners that year.
Pretty much same, bro. Yeah.
But I love them, so I was like, I want to go. So my dad got us tickets. He took me when I was 15.
Nice.
In like GA, and I was in the crowd, definitely the youngest person there with my dad. But I saw Avicii perform that night, and I was like, that's what I want to do.
Oh, dude. Yeah. That's fucking awesome. You got a cool ass dad.
Yeah, that was fun. Yeah.
That's amazing, dude. And flash forward 10 years pretty much, right? And you're playing at the worldwide stage.
Oh yeah, you did your research. Wow.
Yeah, of course, man. I go on SoundCloud, brother, and I knew that too about you. I mean, like I said, I've been following you, but
thank you, man.
We'll get into that much later. But that's amazing, dude. So then,
that was a full circle moment for sure.
Yeah. Oh my God, congratulations to you. I'm hoping that can happen for me at Lollapalooza one day. That's one of the goals.
Awesome.
Yeah, that's higher than that, you know.
Yeah. I mean, that's like for Chicago. That I sort of felt the same way when I played Electric Zoo in New York. Yeah. Because I was like New York's festival, but like Ultra's Ultra, you know.
Ultra's Ultra, bro. I mean, cross that one off the bucket list, brother. Yeah. You'll be back for sure. So 15 years old, you go to Ultra. Shout out to your dad, fucking man. And you came back just with a fire in your belly, being like, I want to be a DJ. Do you remember when you were like, okay, I want to take this seriously? Because when you start, I mean, this happened for me, right? Like I had fun in college as a DJ. You go to some shows and you just kind of start mixing and you play with your friends, maybe some parties. But there's that moment when you're like, I'm going to actually be an artist rather than just doing this for fun. Do you remember if there was a significant moment or what pushed you to actually pursuing this?
That's an interesting question, because I'd say I've had like 2 of those moments in my career, you know?
Yeah.
I think everyone, when they first start, they have that moment like, oh, I want to be Avicii, or I want to be this person. Yeah. So you try it. But when you're in high school, it's like your goals are sort of limited, you know? So at the time when I started, my goal was only playing like my friends' high school parties. Like I was a sophomore in high school, and my goal was to convince the seniors to let me DJ the parties they were throwing. You know, and it took me a bit to do that alone, but eventually I was able to do that.
Yeah.
And then I'm not sure if you remember, but there used to be a Pacha, like Pacha Ibiza in New York.
Yeah. Oh, dude, I've heard about it from all the New York City DJs I've interviewed.
Yeah, Pacha, New York, and they actually threw under 18 events. Back in like 2000, from 2012 to like 2016, they did it. So basically, when they would book a big headliner like a Martin Garrix or a Hardwell, they would ask them if, hey, would they be willing to put one more show on top of that from 5 to 10 p.m. before the club opens, and it was limited to ages 14 to 18.
Yeah.
So all high school kids, no alcohol, but they were that's a pretty normal thing, like teen events in New York, but they were the only ones able to do it with like Hardwell or Martin Garrix or Rehab headlining, you know.
Only in New York.
It was, so it was pretty incredible, and I was like a 15-year-old kid. I had no idea what I was doing. I just messaged them on Facebook, and I was like, "Hey, I just started DJing. If you want to hire, if you're looking for openers for the event,
there you go."
And well, yeah, like I guess that sort of naivety of how it all works led to an opportunity, because they responded and they were like, "Sure, come in for a meeting." And I mean, I know you grind your way through the Chicago scene. You know how it is with local scene and like selling tickets and getting those slots, and that was the name of the game back then, especially when you have no name out and no music. Yeah, exactly. That's what at the end of the day, that's what they care about.
Yeah. And
I was able to sell like 50 tickets for the first event, which was with Nervo. And I asked them, okay, what slot can I get for that? And they're like, oh, we'll put you in the basement, because they had multiple rooms. And the basement is basically the bathroom and the coat check. You know? So I started off there, and then I was like, all right, that was fun, but how do I get to DJ the main room? And they were like, oh, you're not gonna be able to do that. That's only for people that bring in 200 plus tickets. And I was like, okay, challenge accepted, you know?
Wow.
So there weren't even like, I went to a smaller school in New York, so there weren't even like 100 kids in my class. So like, okay, how am I gonna do this? So, but luckily in New York, like kind of it's a big city, but it's a small city at the same time. People kind of know each other, you know?
Yeah.
So I found one friend at each of like the schools that I know friends at, and said, okay, can you sell these tickets for me? You can keep the commission on the tickets. I don't care for the money. I just want to DJ.
Yeah.
And I even did like a bonus incentive to give them a part of my commission from the tickets I sold it personally. Smart. Like $10 for every 10 tickets they sold.
Yeah.
Just to keep them motivated. And then for the next event, I sold 200 tickets and got to open for Hardwell.
Damn.
Yeah.
Dude, like, fuck yeah, man. You immediately were like, I'm gonna make this happen.
Yeah. So I'd say that was like the first moment of like, okay, like I just started DJing like with 1 year, 2 years ago, and I'm like playing the same rooms as like these big guys. So
yeah,
I'll be at team nights, but it was still awesome.
Yeah, of course.
So that was like the first moment, and then, you know, like my parents are they're always very supportive, but they were also like, they wanted me to have my priorities in check. They want me to go to college and stuff.
Yeah.
So I started in high school. I started touring a bit, but not as my own DJ, but as a DJ for a rapper, ILOVEMAKONNEN. I'm sure we'll get into that later.
That was my next question, bro.
Yeah.
Fuck, did that happen? Because so this was. I want to just get the years right here, because I think this is important as well when it comes into your production. So 2012, you go to Ultra, come back. 2012, 2013, you're playing at Pacha, opening for big artists, Nervo, Hardwell. And then ILOVEMAKONNEN comes into the picture?
Yes.
Okay. Exactly. All right. What's the story there, bro? Because going up on a Tuesday was like the college fucking anthem, dude. My fraternity was called Alpha Tau Omega. We thought we were tight as fuck because we had Taw's days, right? And we were like the ones who always had the biggest parties on Tuesdays, and there was this bar that had $2 Tuesdays. So that song, I'm not kidding you, was played at full volume in 50 fucking rooms.
Wow.
Sick. Man.
No, that was a moment for sure.
Yeah.
No, so that what happened there was super, super random. I guess it's kind of a lesson to like never, like, any connection is a legitimate connection. Never shut anything out. That you're never too big to talk to anyone. You're never too cool for anything. You know, I was at the time I was just putting mixes on SoundCloud under a different name before it was Carter, which we don't have to get into. Yeah. But I wasn't releasing music. I was just recording my first DJ mixes, and I get a message from this guy in Atlanta saying, "I love your mixes. I play them at my house parties." And his name was ILOVEMAKONNEN. And it was before anything, before Tuesday, before Drake, before any of that. Like,
Holy
and
shit.
we sort of kept in touch. I was into his music as well. I was a bit of a hip hop guy, but I wasn't too invested in it. But I appreciate like his music was always always stood out from the rest of the hip hop scene.
Unique
You know,
voice,
very
for
creative.
sure.
Yeah, very unique.
Yeah.
So we just always kept in touch, sending each other's music for like feedback and whatnot.
Yeah.
And then
Wow.
all of a sudden, I'm on Instagram one day, and I see Drake posting a picture like with the caption "Club Going on Tuesday." And I was like, wait, isn't that his song? And then he posted the remix on SoundCloud, and it became this massive hit. And we started messaging each other again. He was like, "Oh, by the way, I'm coming to New York to play 8-Track's Fool's Gold Party. Do you want to pick me up from the airport? Let's go together." I'm like, "Fuck yeah!" I was like a kid that's like just starting to DJ, and then all of a sudden I'm like hanging out with 8-Track and McCona and all these guys.
That works.
And
jeez.
And so we did that, and then he was like, "Well, I just signed with an agent. I just signed with OVO, Drake's label.
Yeah.
We're playing tour. I need a DJ. Will you do it?" I'm like, "Of course."
Holy
like,
shit. How old
yeah.
were you?
I was 17.
Bro.
Yeah.
What?
Yeah, it was pretty crazy.
Ever, actually. Like, this is
Yeah.
fucking wild.
Yeah, and then our first show together, because what I love about Makona is that even though it was a bit of different from my scene, he's sort of like dance music fans appreciated him and dance music artists appreciated him, and he was sort of
Yeah.
always in that world.
For sure.
So the first show we did together was Diplo's Mad Decent Boat Party, which is a 5-day cruise from Miami to the Bahamas with Diplo, Skrillex, Dylan Francis, all these guys.
Oh.
And I was DJing for him there, and everyone was like, "Who the hell is this kid?" Like, I was definitely too young to be there. It was probably a bit of a liability in hindsight, but
oh my God.
And that was sort of like outside of the New York local scene. That was my first foray into like the wider music industry. And even though I was just a kid then, I was able to make a lot of connections that I still have to this day, you know?
Yeah, of course, dude.
Yeah.
That is so awesome. And honestly, props to you for just putting yourself out there. I think that's a huge thing. That you said you're never too cool, you're never too big. Well, guess what? You're never too small to have that talent that can mean something to someone or help them out, because this is a collaboration game, in my opinion. And obviously, Conan saw something in you, and it sounds like he's a fucking homie too. No,
he's a homie. We're still very close to this day. We talk every few days at least.
Dude, that's awesome, man. Fuck yeah.
And we even made music together. I've worked on some of his stuff. We had a collab on Hell Deep a few years back.
Yeah, next to me, right?
Yeah, next to me.
So
and then since then we did a bunch of shows together, but it got to the point where like I was missing a lot of school to like tour with him. And then I would sort of plan it like, okay, we have PE gym class at the end of the day, so I can just miss that. My parents were like, "Oh, that should be fine." And then I got called into the principal's office saying, "If you miss one more PE classes, you're gonna fail and not graduate."
Oh my God.
So that was sort of like the turning point. My parents were like, "Okay, we gotta like, you're doing good. This is good stuff, but you gotta finish school. You gotta go to college, you know."
Yeah, for sure. Where'd you go to college?
I went to NYU. I did the music program there.
You went to NYU. Okay, cool.
Yeah.
Well, it's a serious school for sure. Either way.
Yeah. So I guess things have sort of, I wouldn't say slowed down, but I just sort of had to prioritize school and college and that. So I took it easy on touring and on releasing for a while. And at that point, I was sort of at a crossroads as an artist as well, because I wasn't really sure. Yeah. Like that was like 2015, 2016, where like the kind of EDM boom died down, and the sound was kind of like in a weird place. It was before house music, before any of that, which I'd say really reinvigorated my passion for dance music. I was like, okay, let me just focus on school for a bit, keep making music, keep working on my craft, and see where it takes me. And then I'd say the second moment where I was like, okay, I'm going for this was 2018, I'd say, where like end of 2017, early 2018, when I was a sophomore in college, and I had sort of taken a step back to focus on school, and I was like, okay, I'm doing well in school. Yeah. I'm still making music. Like, what's going on here? Am I going to go for this or not? And that was like the moment. I'd say since then, I was like, okay, I'm actually going for this, you know?
Yeah, dude. Yeah. Shout out to you and congratulations to you, because it takes a lot to say I'm really going to do this and then stay consistent. Yeah. And all these years later, I mean, here you are crushing it.
Appreciate it, man.
That's awesome, man. So you actually released your first track in 2014, though, right? Wampa on
Yeah.
Big and Dirty.
Well, damn, you did your research, yeah.
Well,
Yeah.
listen, man, I fucking
I mean, that was definitely I was a part of me. I watched your interviews before. I know you dig deep, so a part of me was hoping you might gloss that one over. But given I'm pretty,
Bro,
I'm pretty.
AC, that track is sick, man. You know I'm a
Okay.
big room kid. Are you kidding
I know,
me?
yeah, but
It
it's
honestly,
yeah.
for a big room track, it's pretty unique. Like it's not the typical just like sound design. Like it has a really nice little break in it. And
Mhm.
it reminded me of a lot of old tracks that just came flowing back to me. And it's interesting today. I think, next year's going to be 2024.
Mhm.
2014, 2013,
That'll be 10 years, yeah.
Big Room was fucking big,
Yeah.
Showtech, Hardwell, we could go on and on, W&W. And it's crazy to see this like cross-pollination of the artists like Hardwell who are now making like 140 techno and
Yeah.
even the like W&Ws of the world. And then you have like the John Summits and the Dom Dalla. Everybody's just making the music really fucking fast. Like 130 BPM is the new 124, 126.
It's crazy.
I'm excited because like we know things go in cycles and usually it's about every 10 years. And as a diehard Big Room fan, the early days, that I always wanted to hear the biggest drop. I'm really excited to see what happens in the next couple of years with what could happen when artists like that collaborate or get inspired by each other. So, dude, I'm gonna start dropping Wampa. You want to get back into it?
Let's do it. I don't think I've played that track in like probably 6 years at least. But yeah, no, I still have love for it. It was my first ever release.
Yeah, bro.
I actually made it very quickly. The funny thing is, like,
Did you?
I mean, I did what everyone else does, like sample a kick from another big room track and just get
Of course,
that
that's what you're
little
supposed
synth
to do.
over it, and then and then what I was really proud of it is like I've always been. I don't have any musical training, but I've always been very melodically focused. And I was really happy with that song melodically.
Yes.
For the like you said, the break, and yeah, like you said, like big room is the kind of thing of the moment. And I was just a kid, so I was hopping on whatever was hot.
Yeah.
So
of course.
so I was happy that I was able to bring a melodic edge to that. Like I said, Avicii was my first inspiration. He's known for his melodies, so I wanted to sort of combine that with the big room sound.
Is when I think back to those days, and it's funny you said, I haven't thought about, I used to sample like every Umet Ozkan kick drum because they were just the best fucking kicks. And I remember when I first opened Massive and Silent and Serum and everything, right? And you got the fucking MIDI controller and you hit a note and it's like, doom, and you're like, wow, I am Hardwell. Like the song's done, you know what I mean? Like that original feeling when you first start making music, like regardless of the actual quality, how fun it was just to create and be inspired. Like kind of, it's like in the same sentence, like you want to be inspired and then create. You know what I mean? It's not like I'm inspired, period. Then I create. I'm inspired and I'm going to create. And I try and get back to that these days when I make music because I feel like you get into it, and tell me if this resonates with you. You get into it, you're having fun and you're making music. And then you're like, okay, is this really working? Are people listening? I need to do what's going to work. And then you're working, you're not creating, you know what I mean? And you're kind of like losing touch of that first time you play a note on a MIDI controller on fucking Massive, you know what I mean? And it's hard to come back to that, but I've been able to come back to that honestly through a lot of darkness. And now I've never been more excited about making music.
That's awesome, man.
Yeah.
You really can't lose that like creativity. Like if you get to a position, like we were talking before about like day jobs and whatnot. Like if you get a position where like you're lucky enough to make music your job, you still don't want to make it feel like a job because then it's just work and then you lose inspiration. You still have to have fun with it. And if you're not having fun with it, you're in the wrong profession, in my opinion.
Yeah, it's hard to do. And I've talked about this many times. Like you got to really love what you're doing because you're going to be realistically, you need to be your own biggest fan.
100%.
That doesn't mean like, how do I even explain this? You need to be your own biggest fan in the sense that what you make, you love. And the content that you make, you have fun doing. And it's kind of tough because we are in an industry where we all compare ourselves to the biggest artists. Because if you think about it, bro, if you just look at an EDC or Tomorrowland lineup, right? Like a lot of these are a lot of overlap, ultra, and everybody compares themselves to these guys that have earned these spots, but it's really hard, and that's why I'm excited to get into your experience and how the music has given you these opportunities, but you don't want to get caught up in imposter syndrome, because sometimes what I've found is the happiest people are the people that maybe aren't the global touring DJs that have the most followers on Instagram. They're the people that have followed their passion and have a real fan base and go play in cities where they have followings. And I would always rather be that artist. Obviously, the goal is to be the Hardwells, the Aviciis of the world. But what's fulfilling for me is when I go to a place like Amsterdam and people know who I am because of the podcast, because of my music. And if I have one real fan that is out there for me, rather than a million fake fans, then that's what's going to be worthwhile for me.
Oh yeah. Like I've always said, I'd rather play to a room of like 100 people that are going crazy and know every one of your songs than like 2,000 people that never heard of you and don't really care, you know?
Well, bro, I mean, be transparent with me, because New York and Chicago have a lot of overlap like that, right? Like you cut your teeth. I mean, you were with ILOVEMAKONNEN, like you were playing a lot of open format stuff, a lot of rap. Like,
oh yeah,
I did that same shit in Chicago, and I used to think like playing at these big clubs or like these day parties and shit like that, where I'm playing this open format shit, was like going to be the penultimate moment for me. But I really wasn't myself. I wasn't playing what I love.
Oh yeah.
But just because there's a lot of people, I was like, this is it. But that's not it. But you kind of got to do that shit to realize that's not what it's about.
No, 100%. There's nothing wrong with getting your name out there and getting experience. And
yeah, for sure.
I learned, even though with playing with McConan, I was barely even mixing. I was just playing his songs for him to rap over, you know? But I still got to learn what it was like touring. And and obviously, like, I know so many producers who start touring and then realize it's not for them. So I was able to realize at a young age that I enjoy touring.
Yeah.
And I enjoy playing music for people, whether it wasn't always my music, or the music I wanted to play, but I was still a great experience. I got to learn how a crowd works. And I learned a lot from Conan about him being as an artist and as a creative. And I was able to source a lot of inspiration from that.
Yeah.
And I was sort of like, if I can do it at this level, why can't I do it on my own too? You know? So
yeah,
so there's nothing, I think, like you said, with playing open format shows, I'm sure you learned a lot about what makes a crowd move and things that can be applied to when you play dance music sets, you know?
Definitely. And it was interesting for me to be an open format DJ and then become a house music producer, and then I found it very hard to get house gigs, because I realized that there is this whole other world of artists that are earning those spots into the artist slots. You know what I mean? And my first house gig, I opened for Bijou at this fucking club up in the north side of Chicago in a sweaty attic, bro. You know what I mean? But I loved it so much, and I'll never forget that. But I did learn over the course of those years firsthand about how the music was changing in terms of the taste. I started calling it open format house. You know what I mean? There were a lot of edits that were coming out that was popular remixes, and they worked really well because people wanted to dance. You know what I mean? Like, they wanted to hear songs they know, but they didn't want to jump up and down necessarily. So I got to experience, and that's why I really started to love house so much more, is because I saw this overlap. And like I said earlier, this cross-pollination of rappers. And that's why I love your song with McConan, and why so many other house DJs and really just electronic music producers in general started making music with rappers and pop artists, because it is there, dude. Like, people don't even know the latest Lady Gaga album. You might know this. Chami's credited on there. Axwell's credited on there. Burns is credited on there, right? Like, all these incredible dance music producers are the ones that are putting out these pop songs, dude. You know what I mean?
Exactly.
So it's a really special time to be in the music industry, particularly in dance music and in house and tech house like we are. So yeah. Wow. Love that shit, bro. Okay, so I want to talk more about your music here. You have an incredible discography, by the way, and it's highly coveted, man. I mean, we're talking Chainsmokers remix, we're talking millions of plays, spin-in releases, FIFA 22 soundtrack. I got to talk about that first, dude, because FIFA, to me, is like a way of life, bro. Like, when I was young,
really?
I loved it. It's what got me into soccer, actually, at a young age. I think I started playing FIFA 07, 08, maybe. And the music was always so much fun, dude. And then when I saw that you had a track on there and I listened to the song, and I was like, man, I could just imagine myself like in the warm-up arena, just fucking around, trying to volley, do the special tricks. And I hear your song, Out of Lives, featuring Charlotte Haining. in 2021. It was on FIFA 2022. Did you expect this song to be like synchronized like this? Because I think that's sort of something that people don't understand so much.
I didn't, honestly.
Yeah.
I had met one of the music supervisors for EA Games like 3 years before then,
Yeah.
and I'd always like sent music and stuff, and there was always interest, but never like a fit. And it was always kind of like what you commonly hear from labels, like, this is cool, keep sending stuff.
Yeah,
We'll
for
take
sure.
a listen. Like
They
the
are a label.
line of communication was open. Yeah, it's basically a record label, And then eventually, I would just send them the music, and they actually liked hearing music that was unreleased, because they want to hear it early and get excited about it. And I sent it that one that was in, I think, May of 2021, and they're like, okay, great, can you have the master by June? We want it. And I was like, oh wow, I was not expecting this that fast. And at the time, the track was unsigned, had no release plan whatsoever. It was just on finishing touches.
Mm-hmm.
And okay, I was like, okay, let's do it. We got the track synced. We found a label that would put it out. And we had to find. I think once you had a track with FIFA, it wasn't the issue signing the track, but you had to find a label that was going to release it in like by September. But by the time the game comes out, when you know how long it takes to get, you run a label, you know how long it can take for tracks to release on a label.
Yeah.
So that was a challenge in itself. But luckily, Perfect Havoc, great people, great team, great label. I've released with them since then as well. They love the record, they believe in the record, and put it out with us.
So cool.
So it's sort of, the release of it stemmed from the sync. It was sort of. I didn't expect that to happen, but it was built around that.
Yeah. So
Yeah.
have you played it and heard your song?
Oh yeah. I mean, I personally, I'm not a bit. I've played FIFA from time to time.
Sure.
I was never a huge sports guy. As you know, I'm a Star Wars guy. I was sort of like,
Yeah, I know that.
you can only have so many things in your life: Star Wars, music, and sports. I was on a baseball team in high school, but I guess I was never much of an athlete.
Okay. Are you a Yankees or Mets fan then? Probably Yankees.
Yankees.
Yeah.
So yeah, I played it a few times. It's in the Volta mode, which is like kind of like the street soccer mode.
Yeah.
So I sort of played it over and over again until I heard the song. I'm like, yeah, there it is.
Dude, that is so cool, man.
But yeah, that was definitely an awesome moment. I've always been a gamer for sure, and hearing my song in any video game was really cool, let alone FIFA. And my friends, and I think it took for it to, once it came out, that's when I fully realized how big of a moment it was, because I've talked to friends that are soccer fans and not even music fans.
Yeah.
And they talk about how much the soundtrack of the game means to them as players and as gamers and as soccer fans, and they're not even in dance music or anything. They just have those songs. They hear that song, they immediately think back to memories of playing the game. So that's pretty special that my song be one of those.
Oh my God, that's so awesome, man.
Yeah.
I love that example and perspective from them. And I totally agree. And that's something that I always think about as an artist, and always try and communicate to people that are trying to figure out how to make money. Obviously, you didn't release a song to put it out on FIFA, but what a great way for you to get some revenue going back into your brand. And synchronization is a huge thing that I think is really undervalued, because there are producers that just make music for sync, but then there's dance music producers that make music for people to like enjoy and get energy from, and that's why FIFA is so great for that. So mad respect to you, bro. I think that is like, that's you just, I don't know, you fucking impressed the shit out of me with that, because that's
definitely a career highlight.
Yeah, amazing. But let's rewind it back a little bit. I want to talk about these Chainsmokers remix, 2 of them, Push My Luck and You Owe Me, right?
Yeah.
So cool, man. Have you met the guys in person, or how did these come about?
I've met them in person. They're from New York also. And
yeah, that's what I
New York is kind of, New York is kind of like I said, it's a small scene.
Mm-hmm.
So New York guys kind of know each other. Obviously they're like mega stars. So I've always like looked up to them.
For sure.
And I'd met them a few times, and I did the Push My Luck remix, and I really wanted them to pick it up. It didn't make the cut, but for the official remix package, but they still supported it. They played it and put it on reposted on SoundCloud. And I don't know if you remember, like back in the day of the SoundCloud repost glory days when like the
Oh.
Chainsmokers repost was like the covenant.
Dude, and it still is, if you ask me, honestly.
Yeah. Oh
'Cause
yeah.
they're true DJs, you know what I mean?
Exactly.
Especially Alex. And
Oh yeah.
that's you know what? That's official enough for me, brother. So dope.
Yeah. So that happened, but I kept trying, kept pushing out. Every time there was a song I thought had an idea for, I'd ask their manager for the stems.
Mm-hmm.
I did push my luck, and then that was the one it was amazing. Alex sent me feedback directly on it, and we sort of like he gave me ideas on the break. He's like, "Oh, why don't you try something like this?" And like they're really talented, smart guys, and they're involved every step of the way, you know, in everything they do.
So cool.
And we got it out, did pretty well. I hadn't seen a while since, and I actually ran into Alex a couple months ago.
Mm-hmm.
We both take our dogs to the same vet, and we were in the waiting room together, and we sort of caught up a bit. That was cool. And I wasn't even sure if he remembered me. He was like, "Hey man, I did the Push My Luck remix," and he was like, "Oh shit," you know?
Yeah.
But yeah, that's a very like New York DJ moment, I guess. You know?
Oh my God, that
Yeah.
is. I'm clipping that shit. That's hilarious.
Yeah.
So cool, bro. So cool. So we talked a little bit earlier about some of your experience in playing at shows. I mean, you mentioned Electric Zoo. We talked about Ultra, but I'm gonna read the full list out here for the people so that they're fully aware of your accomplishments and accolades. So you've done Ultra Miami, of course, Ultra Europe, Ultra Japan, Ultra Korea, Ultra Beach Bali. I mean, the man fucking travels. And then we said Electric Zoo, Mysteryland as well, Maddies and Boat Party. I mean, we could go on and on about these sets and your experiences, but I'm really curious because Ultra is known for bringing people from all over the world, right? Regardless of where the festivals are. Ultra Miami being sort of the penultimate, like major festival where it all started for them. But as a DJ, how do you prepare for these sets? Because I saw your Ultra Japan set. Was that the one you had online?
Yeah.
That like a Japanese crowd. I mean, I have never performed in Japan, but I can only imagine that the crowd is certainly different than Miami. Probably different than Europe, and definitely different than Bali. What do you notice, and how do you prepare? I mean, what goes through your mind before, during, and after?
Yeah, every crowd is definitely different.
Yeah.
So you have to take that into account. At the same time, you want your set to be like, I want my set to be an Ayers Carter set. You want your set to be a Sherm set. You know, you want to have sort of a lot, sort of like the same thing when you're making music, that you may try something in a different genre, but you want it to reflect your sound and be like, okay, this is your track. Same thing. I approach DJing the same way, no matter where I'm playing, you know?
Okay.
So in Asia, they want to go hard in general. So
Yeah,
I played definitely a bit harder, but like, okay, like maybe I'm playing mainly house and techno these days. So instead of playing big room like every other DJ there, I'll play the harder sides of that. And when we were talking about big room earlier, like sort of coming back in a way, you listen to like an Eli Brown track. Those are big room synths over a techno bass line, you know?
Exactly what I was saying earlier, dude.
Yeah,
like, we're really not that far away.
Yeah, we're not. We're not at all. So I played stuff like that, and it resonated. You know, it's a bit different from what they're hearing. And even though like my sound isn't like, what I've realized is people appreciate something different, regardless if it's not their exact cup of tea. You know, so the big room may still be like the dominant sound in Asia, but I'd rather gain 20 fans that love and house and techno and want to hear something different and appreciate me playing something different than everyone else on the lineup, versus make every fan there happy with big room, but it's the same stuff everyone else is playing, you know?
Right.
Yeah. So I did
hear my dog barking, by the way.
All good.
She's a little puppy.
No, all good.
You get it. You got a dog.
I got it. Yeah. But yeah, so I played it definitely a bit harder, but I still played my own music. I still kept it in line with what I usually play. Yeah. And I was really happy with that set. And like a week later, I played my biggest New York headline show at a club called Nebula.
Yes, dude, I saw that.
Yeah. And I played my set in Japan was only 45 minutes. Okay. But my Nebula set was 2 hours, so I basically played like an extended version of that set. I still had some of the biggest moments, but I sort of bridged it out to create more of a journey. Since I have 2 hours, I sort of have more control of the crowd. Like a 45 minute, it's sort of like kind of like giving it your all in those 45 minutes. But I was able to like create those ebbs and flows in the journey of the set, which is something I really appreciate as a DJ. You know,
amazing, man.
So
how did it feel to come back and headline your own city like that? 2 hour set, it's amazing.
Oh, it was amazing. Yeah. I played, like I've said, I played in New York my entire career.
Mm-hmm.
And I've headlined very small venues and very small, like not even clubs, but just like venues where people play music,
Yeah,
like
sure.
local stuff. But this was my first like big headline at a club where you regularly have like headlines there,
Yeah.
like it was pretty crazy. So shout out to Nebula for giving me the opportunity, and I was honestly very nervous because you know how like when you're an opening DJ and they want to see how many tickets you sell, they'll give you like a tracking link. When you're headlining, like you're the whole event is the tracking link. It's all on you. If people don't show up, there's no one to blame but yourself.
Yeah. But it
So,
looked like
but I
smashed
was, oh yeah, I was very happy with how it turned out. But there's always when you're doing your first big headline in like an 800 cap room, that's like a big moment. There's always a bit of nerves of whether people are going to be there, but
Yeah.
turned out well. Yeah.
I know the feeling, man. I know the feeling.
Yeah.
Let me ask you this, and I'm curious, as a DJ, when you prepare, what's your strategy? Are you making a playlist for each set? Are you going back to playlists? What's your preparation for something like Ultra Europe, for example, or whatever it is?
Oh, dude, like Record Box is like it's like I call it like my second DAW, like
Yes, yeah, I know what you mean.
I take like preparation for sets very seriously.
Mhm. Me too.
Basically, how I do it is nowadays I make a playlist for every show, especially the bigger ones.
Me too.
And I do have a running playlist that I keep of like all the songs that I'm playing this year. Like every year I do like a refresh of the playlist, and then sometimes I'll dive back because there's hidden gems that you might have missed when you made the playlist. I'm like, okay, let me go back into the full library, all 2,000 whatever tracks, and scan through it quickly, see if there's anything I missed.
Yep.
But yeah, for a 45-minute festival set, I'm pretty well prepared and know pretty much what I'm going to play with maybe slight variations.
Yeah.
But for a 2-hour set, it's sort of like I know the first few tracks and I know the tracks I know that for sure I have. I always have a main playlist for the show, and I have a smaller playlist that's like a must play playlist. Like these are the tracks. I started doing this because that feeling after a show when you're like, oh shit, I wanted to play this track, but didn't end up playing it.
Dude.
Especially your own tracks that you're trying to test out. So now before every show I make a playlist of like, okay, I need to play these tracks and make sure I get through all must plays and then everything else. And then depending on the show, you might have one of just the more like commercial stuff if it's a more commercial crowd, like more like like edits and recognizable vocals.
For sure.
But yeah, so it's and then I sort of end up playing from a mix of those three playlists.
It's funny you said that. I was just talking about that with DJ Susan. Especially him, because he has so much music. He like forgets to play his own music sometimes. Not like I don't think he ever goes a whole set without playing his own music, and I don't these days since I'm excited about a lot of my new music. But we just want to play tracks that fucking work. You know what I mean? Like especially for a 45-minute or an hour set, that is like not enough time. That's like 13 to 15 songs. If you're mixing quick, you can get up to 20. And it sounds like you're trying to own that a little bit more, where especially now people are coming out to see AC, bro. You know what I mean? Like they want to hear Aries Carter music. They want to hear Sherm music. They want to hear whoever artist it is. And, we're as artists, we're always going to be perfectionists and we respect other people's art too. It's hard to appreciate your own, but I think you got to lean into that as a producer as much as you can and say, I'm an artist who through DJing performs my music. You know what I mean? Like I'm trying to think of it like that. Like this is the way that I play my music. People are coming to hear a great set, but they want to hear some of my own songs. So you do have to like fucking put that.
Oh yeah.
It's like, sometimes it's like 7 songs. That's it.
Yeah, exactly. I mean, it's a bit of a transition when you start playing more and more shows.
Yeah.
Your immediate reaction, your brain is like, okay, these people don't know who I am. Like I want to play stuff that they'll know and get excited about, and then they'll become a fan, hopefully. Yeah. So there's a bit of that, and I'm not knocking that. And that is a part of the game.
Okay,
but sure. Once you start putting out music and making fans, like at the end of the day, music is what's gonna get you to the next level, not you playing a song that everybody plays at a show. Even if it gets a great reaction.
So true.
So I kind of had this moment very recently for Ultra Japan. this is the first time that my set was gonna have a full UMF TV video recording, and I knew that going into it.
Mhm.
And I was like, okay, I have like 12 IDs for 2024 I'm sitting on. I'm gonna play basically. I said my set in Ultra Japan was like 85% original music and IDs
Yes.
as well. Yeah. So I sort of lean into that because like even if people don't know all the songs, thousands of people are going to see the set whether online or in person. And I want to show off my new music. I want not just to get the crowd's reaction, but to have that content, have that music being heard that's not released yet, and get a little bit of excitement about it because I prepare to release it all.
Yep.
That was like I'd say a moment. I'd say that moment was a big shift for me. Even like I've been doing I had my first release in 2014, almost 10 years ago. I've been doing this for a while, but even then that was a moment where I was like, okay, like now's the time to shift. And like, okay, I'm playing my own tracks. My intro is always one of my own tracks.
Yep.
I tend to always close with one of my last tracks.
Got to.
With either a new one or one of the songs that people might know.
Yeah.
So yeah, like I'd say like, and if you look at like kind of some of the greats like Martin Garrix, Cascade,
Yep.
If you listen to one of their sets, they're playing almost all their own music as well.
Pretty much.
That's what people go for.
Yeah.
There are other people's that are like more of a DJs. There's some DJs that fucking crush it. They don't even put out music. They're just killer DJs and they know how to work a crowd. That's awesome.
Yeah.
But if your thing is playing on music, I'd say once you're in a position that you think the crowd will be receptive to new music,
yeah,
go for it. Play that new track, even if you're not 100% happy with it. See how it goes, and that's the best way you can learn. And say like, okay, what does that track need? What can I do in future tracks that make the crowd more receptive? You know?
Yeah.
So
that's so true.
yeah.
I mean,
So beyond just like getting your music heard, it's like important for you to learn that way.
Yeah, and I actually said this during the panel. It's like I'm in the studio, I'm listening to this track, it sounds good, it's unreleased, and then I put it out, and I'm like, fuck, dude, it doesn't sound the same anymore. You know what I mean? That's just producer ear sometimes. So I always, and that's why a great thing about being able to test out music live, even if you feel like it's not ready. And dude, I watched all those videos, and that's why I picked up that fucking edit. We can tell people.
There you go.
Picked up the Star Wars edit for Hood Politics.
Yeah,
it's not coming out for a little bit. There's a date in May that we're gonna put it out on. People can figure that out.
Yeah.
But that was very smart of you. And I mean, you're a New Yorker in that sense, bro. You're a businessman. Like you're always fucking hustling, man. And that's smart of you too. And I love a hustler DJ because you can tell like there are lots of different types of DJs. And it's interesting you said about the DJs that can really work a crowd. You got to be a really, really, really good fucking DJ to be able to not produce. You know what I mean? I don't think they're a thing of the past. I think actually it's just evolved into the content DJ, which people have problems with. And I just think it's the times, you know what I mean? Like it is what it is. And a lot of these guys and girls are producers that are just really fucking good at marketing their music. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And
exactly.
It's hard for the guy who's the really good producer, but doesn't necessarily know how to put himself out there or herself or whatever it is, or is against TikTok or whatever, you know what I mean? And like, can't believe these people are getting the slots, or really good DJs that are like super underground. You know what I mean? We know the type, and they're really fucking talented. There's no denying that, but it's like, hey man, you got to understand that this is a business and we need to sell tickets because we are a business and we need to make money and we need to bring people to the show. And you got to think about the younger generation. And those are the people that are coming out to the shows and bringing their friends and buying drinks and bottles, whatever the fuck, you know what I mean? Festival,
exactly.
3-day festival tickets. Who are the 3-day festival ticket buyers? They are young people. You know what I mean? So I don't know why I went on that rant, but I love that I did because it's always relevant.
100%. Oh yeah. I'd say any DJ that's sort of like knocking any path to success I'd say it's kind of not the smartest way to go about your time. Any way to if you, at the end of the day, if you have a real audience of people that care about what you're doing, whether it's making TikToks of you DJing or whether it's putting out amazing original music, someone is enjoying that content, whatever it may be. So if they're willing to spend their hard-earned money on a concert ticket or buying an album or even their time streaming, which may not be much, but it adds to something. Every
Yeah.
stream counts.
True.
Like that, it's whatever you're doing is resonating with someone. So I can't knock the hustle in any shape or form, you know?
Absolutely, brother. I love that. And I say that in many different ways too. It's like there are definitely wrong ways to grow. That there's an endless list of those, but I don't think there's a right or correct way or, recommended way to success, because we all have our own journey to take, and we all have our own personalities and fan bases, and the people that own who they are the most are going to go on a different path than the rest.
Yeah.
And you look at all the biggest successes in the world, the people you just mentioned, Martin Garrix, Cascade, right? Those are people that had different sounds when they started to produce. Garrix changed the fucking game with Animals. Cascade revolutionized himself many, many times. Alesso is an example I always like to use. He's a timeless artist to me. He will always be successful because he loves making music. He's a great DJ, great performer, but he's a long way away from calling Lose My Mind these days. You know what I mean? Now, I love that he gets 2 sets at fucking Tomorrowland. one for the classic Alesso and one for the main stage Alesso, which I think is so cool because there's never enough time. There's always different audiences. But yeah, I really like that example you used, man.
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay, so good segue into something that I always love asking people about. And like I mentioned in the beginning, the industry is in I believe, a really special place. There's more festivals, there's more labels, there's more artists, there's more managers and agents, but that can cause for a lot of saturation in the market. And I'm curious, what do you do to stay unique and differentiate yourself as you're continuing to grow, and maybe something that you've done in the past or something that you're working on now?
Oh yeah, I think that's a challenge every DJ faces, no matter how big they are.
Yeah.
Is like how do you make yourself stand out, especially I'd say since the pandemic, when things have really boomed in terms of sheer numbers of people that want to be involved, which is great. You're always good to have people involved, but it makes it harder for people to stand out and turn a passion into a career,
Yeah.
Yep.
Alesso and Tiesto are good examples. Those are guys that look at what Tiesto just did with the fucking Goodfella and Nico and Sway. Everybody wants to rule the world track.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah, I saw that.
Listen, man, you got to fucking find a way to collaborate with these young guns or people that are challenging the status quo. And that's a great example. You always have to be revolutionizing and growing. Continue though. I'm sorry.
Yeah, no, all good. I'd say what I'm doing now to sort of stand out is you look at, especially in house music, everyone's sort of doing samples, doing sampling old tracks, whether it was like the 90s R&B, like do it to it copies for a while. Now I'd say the thing is like Latin house and stuff like that.
Wait, did you say do it to it poppies?
Do it to it copies, yeah.
Copies. I think you said poppies. Yeah. I was like,
no, like all of the 90s R&B samples.
Oh yeah, I'm seeing that shit.
No, and some of it's great.
For sure.
There have been some killer records out of that, and I still do stuff with samples from time to time because it's fun. But my priority lately has been original records with original vocals.
Yep.
Which is, it may be harder to get traction because it's not like a catchy sample that everybody knows and wants to sing along to, or without even knowing the artist.
Yeah.
But like I said, I'm sort of looking to like the all-time greats like Cascade, who's mainly known for his own songs. Like we talked about Garrix, we talked about Tiesto, all those guys.
Yeah.
So I'm for 2024. I obviously have some stuff like the Star Wars edit, like we talked about, like fun edits, fun stuff. But my priority is original records with original vocals.
Yeah.
Because that's something like if you have a vocal that's not a splice vocal, not a sample that no one else has used, that's one way that you're going to stand out in a sea of everyone using the same splice samples, everyone sampling the same old records.
Yeah.
Not knocking that at all. I have some stuff that's sample based as well, but I think having your music as original as possible, and at the same time on the live side, playing music that not everyone else is playing. Everyone's me playing the Beatport Top 10. Yeah, sure, I played Losing Control my last set. Like, it's a banger. Like, you want to have those moments as well, but people are going to remember you for what you play in between the hits, for the track they haven't heard yet.
That was good.
The track the track that I haven't heard yet. And this is another quote. It's not mine, but I've heard somewhere, and I always say it. Let me make sure I get it right. A good DJ plays what the crowd wants. A great DJ plays what the crowd didn't know they wanted.
Yeah.
Yeah, you know.
Love that, man.
So you see on the original side, making original music, making it stand out from other artists, and on the DJ side, playing stuff that people might not have heard yet. Some undercut tracks from a random label that's a banger still, or even a track from a bigger artist that's overlooked. Like I've been playing a track from Sebastian Grosso that's from 2008 that no one knows, and it's been going off lately.
Let's go.
I'll send it to you. It's pretty sick.
Yeah, please.
Yeah, it's called, what's it called again? It's called "Lick My Deck" by Sebastian Grosso and John Dahlback.
Whoa, let's go.
It's like a 2008 record. I heard it in a Boiler Room set a few months ago, and I was like, oh shit, I need to start playing this. It's been going off.
Well, John
So
Dahlback?
yeah, Ingrosso and John Dahlback, yeah.
That's sick.
Yeah.
Wow, dude. So many good examples and fucking points of view there. And yeah, I completely agree. I really do. You do want to, and it's like what we said earlier, right? Like when you're playing your sets, like you want to play your own music and you want to be challenging yourself creatively. And it not saying it's necessarily an easier road. I mean, for me, and just to kind of play devil's advocate, you know, like sometimes when you're getting into producing or when you're feeling a bit of a lull, it's easier to kind of find some inspiration in a track that's, you know, a sick R&B vocal or rap vocal, right?
Oh, 100%. Yeah.
What I've done is I've made a composition with that, and then I just remove the vocal and I say, okay, what are we doing here? You know, like how can this become an original track? And what was so cool about ADE this last time was I kind of opened my eyes a little bit more to like who's actually here. Not being so like, here's what I'm here to do. And there were so many singers there that are trying to network and help write top lines and introduce themselves to American producers, European producers, Australian, anybody in the world. If you make music, they want to collaborate with you. And I would encourage people out there to just put themselves out there, because there are singers just like there are producers that are trying to do what you're trying to do. And I totally agree with you, man. That's an initiative for me in 2024. Music that I put out, I want it to be original. Now, it can be sometimes difficult to find a talented singer that meshes with your sound. But what we can also do, particularly in house and tech house, is write our own lyrics and do some spoken word shit, man, or just chop that shit up. I mean, you can do anything in Logic and Ableton, literally anything with the voice, you know? So whatever you can do to be unique, I think, and again, remaining true to who you are and your sound and what's going to make you happy and being your own biggest fan is what differentiate yourself. And I can tell that in your music, man, for real. I mean, your latest one, Take Me Home, is like, it's a really emotional track. You know, it's like, it's certainly not Wampa.
Definitely not. Yeah.
But I could tell, like, just from getting to know you, you know, at 80 a little bit, like you love what you're doing. And I felt that in your music. So,
thank you, man.
You know, I think that's just another good example of trying to find a way to express yourself through your music. Can be a difficult thing to do, but it is possible.
Yeah, definitely. Yeah, and like I said, not knocking samples, like do that stuff. And I think it's also a great way to learn.
For sure.
If you're feeling not inspired, make a track that sounds like whatever the hot record is right now. Make it, find a way to replicate those sounds. Get your mix sounding as tight as that, and then when you have an idea that's original, apply those same lessons to that, and you'll have a banger in your hands. You know.
Yeah.
So there's nothing wrong with hearing, oh, I like this track, I don't try making something like it. And then eventually you'll get to the point when you get used to producing and get used to creating your own ideas that I start tracks all the time. Like, oh, I like this track, I'm gonna make something like it. And then the more you've spent time producing, the more hours you put into it, the more room there is for new ideas to come into the fold. And then by the time you're done with the track, it sounds completely different.
Yep.
You know? Yeah.
Fuck yeah, dude. You're a great podcast guest. Has anyone ever told you that?
I not yet. I've only done like a handful. Like that's probably like the maybe second or third one I've ever done. So
how's this one been?
Awesome, man. And this is the first time I've done a podcast where I was a fan of the podcast first. So that's pretty cool.
Yeah, that's good. That's good. That's good. Yeah, I was thinking about it earlier. Like, I mean, there's so many people doing podcasts these days. Like, in music and comedy and just fashion and food and whatever else, right? And it's wild to think that I've been doing this for 7 years now, 222 episodes, and
Wow.
3 years ago I felt like I was ahead of a curve. 7 years ago I felt like I was ahead of the curve, and now that I'm here, I'm like, shit, man. I don't want to take for granted like what I've done and how many people are like have listened to episodes and stuff. So it's just a beautiful thing, and being able to connect with other producers, like I said in the very beginning, is awesome for me because I'm always trying to learn. I'm always trying to get better. And you definitely strike me as someone like that too, who's just continuously curious and
Thank you. Yeah.
genuine. And there's not enough like us out there, bro. So
And mad
we're
respect
the
to what
Poly
you do with
Boys,
this.
man.
I know, man. I'm excited to finally put on edit with you guys and be part of the family.
Dude, let's get
But yeah,
too.
do it. Yeah, man. Mad respect to what you do too, because I personally can never do what you do. I personally don't love hearing the sound of my own voice, but for you to put yourself out there and spend all this time talking to people, asking amazing questions, doing all this research, like, mad respect, dude.
I have definitely heard my voice a lot, and for anyone who's listening out there that is thinking about starting a podcast, you better be fucking serious about it, and you better be able to listen to your own voice, because you need to listen to the episodes to get better and better.
Dude, even when like I listen to my like Ultra Japan set and I hear myself on the mic, I kind of cringe a bit. Like I personally don't love getting the mic, but when you're playing a big show, you kind of got to
say something.
Yeah.
You have to say something.
But I love the vibe also, like an intimate club set where you don't even say anything. You let the music speak for itself too,
Me too, dude. Absolutely.
Yeah.
I usually like am on the mic just to like sort of make myself
Well,
known.
you're also like you have the voice for it. You're a hype man himself,
I do like to tell people to take a drink with me. That's usually what it is.
Yeah. No, you have that kind of personality for it,
Yeah.
So like I said, like I found out about your music through the podcast. So people come, they don't want to just hear your music, they want to hear your voice too. So
I know. It's so funny. My track Chicago Handshake, which samples myself talking, is like probably my fans' favorite track. And I always felt like, I don't know if I want to do that. I already fucking talk enough and shit like that. But I think I'm going to do a little bit more of it next year, because I do say some absolutely ridiculous things. So might as well put it out there.
Fun. You gotta put yourself, you gotta do like, maybe you should be the first one that does like a podcast DJ set.
Oh my God.
Like your your interview live.
Yeah.
While you're doing a B2B with someone.
Are people this is not seated, right? People have to be standing and dancing.
Yeah.
I've honest to God thought about that shit, like a hybrid sort of, like, I'm not a stand-up comic, but I do sort of love like entertaining on the mic.
Yeah.
If I was able to do some sort of hybrid stand-up comedy podcast house music show, like, what would it look like? So I'm glad I'm not the only one thinking about it.
Yeah. Could be cool, man. You got to lean into your niches a bit. That's sort of what I did with the Star Wars track. Like, I love Star Wars. Like, why don't I make that a part of my thing? So
absolutely,
and then I was like, everyone's done like Imperial March, the main theme and stuff. I was like, no one has done Duel of the Fates. I saw. There's been like some trap and dubstep versions, but like, I thought like with that vocal doing a kind of like, I don't know, like main stage afterlife techno mash thing, and like bring that.
So sick.
Yeah, thank you, man. I'm excited about that one.
I'm gonna be dropping that in pretty much every fucking set until it comes out, and then every fucking set until it. I'm a huge Star Wars fan too, like I told you. So
let's go.
When I saw that, I was like, "Can I have
that?" Awesome.
So what's next up for you, bro? What this episode will be out in the next week or two. What's something that you can tell everybody to get excited about rest of this year, or maybe early next year?
Early next year, some exciting shows planned.
Okay,
for sure. I think one major one for the very end of this year that we're announcing soon, and then another, and then a bunch more for early next year, and then releases wise, I have some bunch of new music. Like I said, this was a very creation heavy year for me, where I was like sort of reshaping the sound a bit.
Yeah,
and I have 12 tracks ready to go for next year.
Fuck yeah.
Not sure if all of them will get released, but
They're ready.
Well, they're ready to go, and I'm excited to put them out and see what fans think of them. And hopefully reach new people as well.
That's so exciting, man.
Yeah.
God, man,
So
12 tracks ready to go
so
is a good feeling.
yeah, a few of them already signed. I have one coming out hopefully early next year on Techne, which I'm sure you know, Noisy's label.
Of course.
I'm excited about that one, and then yeah, some bunch of others I can't say too much on yet, but I'm excited to see what people think.
Well, the only question I have for you at this point is, are you ready to blow up?
I mean, that's what happens. I'm down.
I think
I'm
so,
excited.
man. I
Thank
think
you,
it's
man. Appreciate
time,
that.
bro. We got,
I
dude.
appreciate that. No.
Can we get you back on tour? Or I think McKonnen is gonna DJ for you, I heard, and you're gonna rap.
Not yet. I do one day. We've been talking about it for a while. It has to be the right show. I need to bring him out to not as a special guest. Just do next to me. Do Tuesday,
brother.
I like to.
Yeah.
Oh, I like to. And dude, the funny thing, like I talk. I'm glad you brought that up.
Yeah.
The last thing I'll say about the McKonnen thing, it's created so many connections. Like I met Carnage back in the day through McKonnen when he made that song. I was literally in the studio with them when they made that song.
No shit.
And then fast forward like 7 years later, Gordo hits me up. It's like, yo, that track's a banger, and starts playing out my music. You know, like so.
You never fucking know, man.
It's really full circle. You know, like he followed me on Instagram like way back then when I was a kid DJing for McKonnen. And then he saw the music I'm putting out and fucked with it and started playing it. So
that's so sick, man. Yeah. I got a lot of respect for him. He plays hood poly music, and he's bigger and better than ever. And I'm stoked that someone like that.
No, he's a man.
He is the man.
He's a man. Much love to D. Yeah, I sort of resonate with him a bit because I'm also come from a more EDM background. You've heard my early music, and he shifted towards house music. I haven't gone with the full name change just yet, but
just yet.
We'll see what happens.
Okay, all right.
We'll see what happens.
Right, yeah.
But yeah, I respect that he's able to change the sound a bit, and he's one of the first people in the house music scene to play my new house music. So
amazing.
All love to him.
Good for you, bro. And now you got all the hood poly boys playing your music, and it's just it's awesome to come across people like you in the industry. Like I said, we're networking, but we're just making friends, right?
Yeah. At the end of the day, like the relationships that have done the most for me are the ones that started as friends first, and then you get into the business stuff. Like there's nothing like making a new friend and seeing how you can work together. You know, so and also people I've met through business have become friends as well. So it can work both ways. But at the end of the day, it's all got to be natural. You got to make connections the right way. Don't force anything, and then you never know what can come from it. So bring it back to where we started.
Yep.
A guy from Atlanta on SoundCloud with like 100 followers could have the hottest record in the world 2 years later. So you never know.
You never fucking know, brother.
Yeah.
God damn. That was a great way to end it. You should start your own podcast, actually. That
Not yet. not just yet.
Everything's on the docket for you, isn't it, AC?
Yeah, no, everything's on the docket, and I'm open to anything. We'll see where this road takes us. I'm sure you're the same way with your career, you know?
Absolutely, brother. Well, I can't wait to continue to stay connected. I'm going to be in New York in a few weeks, actually, November 18th, if you're going to be there.
Oh, amazing. You playing?
Yeah, I'm opening for Truth and Lies at Bogart House in Brooklyn.
Oh, sick. Yeah, I'll definitely. If I should be in town, I'd definitely love to come out.
For sure, I'll hit you up. We can link.
Amazing. You gotta come by my studio.
Is it? Yeah. Where is it?
It's in Soho.
Fuck yeah, let's go. I'm down.
Yeah.
Okay, cool. Well, it's a date.
Awesome.
Hell yeah, brother. Well, thanks so much for taking the time and coming on.
Dude, thank you for having me on.
Absolutely. Everybody gotta go check out my friend Aries Carter. He's so talented.
Thank you.
Got stories for fucking days.
Thank you.
There's a reason for that. So congratulations on your success, brother. And I can't wait to continue to watch you grow.
Amazing. Congratulations. I'm excited the podcast is coming back as a fan for a while. So I'm honored to be back, to be on it, and one of the first guests back. Yeah.
Absolutely, brother. Well, it was a pleasure, man. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Man, do I love Sherman the Booth. Oh, hey, I think you do too. Hope you enjoyed that piece of content. If you're looking for more, make sure to go to my YouTube channel and hit that subscribe button and turn on all notifications so you don't miss any upcoming Sherman the Booth interviews, live sets, New music, exclusive artist interviews, Sherm's Word, sub-pack reviews, and more. This is your one-stop shop for everything entertainment. Cheers.